Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Mo Show Live. Hey, it's Morris Lilienthal. All right, sports. I'm a sports guy. If you know me, if you watch me on social, sports I think plays a big role in our society and is so important in so many levels. And I'm a big believer of the importance of playing sports or extracurricular activities if you're not a sports person for all the life lessons that it teaches you. I just really think a lot of where I see successful people, you find out that while they became so successful as they grew up playing athletics, and a lot of the things that they grew up in learning, the adversity, teamwork, and hard work come through playing sports. So that's why I'm excited today to have my friend Wade Waldrop on. Wade is the head football coach at James Clemens High School in Madison, Alabama. And so let me do a quick introduction to Wade and we'll get this thing kicked off. So Wade is a graduate of Hartsville High School, attended UAB, played football for the Blazers. And Wade, I think if I'm not mistaken, you've been doing this coaching and teaching for 20 years now.
This is year 20.
And so this is his 8th year at James Clemens. And last year, Wade was named the 7A High School Football Coach of the Year. So Wade, thanks for taking time, bud. I know y'all got a lot going on with school and with practice. So how you doing, bud?
Doing really well. I appreciate the intro. Looking forward to being on the Mo Show.
Well, man, I'm excited to have you and I've gotten to know Wade over the last couple of years. Our sons play baseball together and not only is Wade a great football coach, but he is a great Little League baseball coach helping with our Little League team. And he's also a former high school basketball coach. So, man, he can do it all. If you got a ball, Wade will be there and help coach it. Wade,
yeah.
I love it too. And so tell for folks that maybe aren't that familiar with James Clemens and maybe aren't familiar with the Madison school system that are watching from afar, and tell us a little bit about the school and the program, just to give us where you're located, the size of the school, number of students. And I know the school, as we mentioned a little while ago, the program is fairly new in terms of high school.
It is. The school's 9 years old. It opened in 2012, the fall of 2012. I joined the faculty and the coaching staff in March of 2013. So the team had been through one season, and I came on board after that initial season. Been here 8 years. I'm entering my 20th year in public education. I'll say it's going into my 22nd year coaching. I coached for a couple of years before I got out of college, and done a little bit of everything. And 2,200 kids here at James Clemens. When I got here that March, I believe there were 600 kids maybe walking the halls, and it felt very empty. Class sizes were big, not very many kids in the halls, and just every year, faculty size has grown, student population has grown, administrative size has grown. Sports have grown, academics have grown. Everything has gotten better, each and every year that we've been over here on County Line Road.
Well, it's a tremendous facility. And I mean, when you walk on campus and drive around, it looks like a junior college. And I mean, it's so big and impressive. And I know, speaking of facilities, I know you guys have, great facilities out there, and you're very thankful for all the support you receive from the system and certainly from the boosters and fans and parents and all that. But you guys, I know you got a new baby out there that you're proud of, and that's your new football field that I got a chance to take a look at yesterday, practice field. Pretty sweet to have that for your team.
It is. And, again, got here 8 years ago, and we had a grass field, and it had already been replaced once. We really weren't able to practice on it during the summers, had to kind of stay off of it because we would play, JV football, ninth grade football here, and really had to be selective. We practiced on the outfield of a baseball field every summer I've been here. And last few years in fall camp, we would move up to the soccer fields and practice. And, you're held hostage there by weather. Wet fields, and we've missed a lot of days due to wet and poor field conditions since I've been here. But we are fired up, and we are very grateful for what our system has done with the facility. Bob Jones got a new turf rug at their campus. Looks really nice. They put one in here for us, and then over at the stadium, they are maybe 4 or 5 days away from being complete at the stadium with a turf rug as well. So it should just allow all the athletes here on campus to have a place to go to no matter what the weather conditions are. It, definitely will make us better. We're going to be good stewards of it and try to take care of it and really get the most out of it.
Well, it's a great asset to the program, and I know it's not only for football. I think y'all may be using it for other things too, for the school.
Yep.
So it's going to be a great asset for all the athletic programs out at JC and over at Bob Jones too. And it'd be nice to have some, the kids that be practicing on the same exact surface they'll be playing on over at the city stadium. So that'll be some familiarity too. So talk to me. I was really shook. Yesterday, I played at a 1A high school, so it's a little bit different than playing in a 7A school. About the number of kids you got on the program. So you've got 10th through 12th, and then you have a 9th grade team as well.
Correct. And we do it a little differently. We do have 4 grades. We've got about 125 kids, 9 through 12, that we're responsible for. We're practicing really 2 teams right now. We've got, basically our upperclassmen practice during first block football every day. And then our underclassmen practice during second block. So, during this crazy time, our system did allow us to continue to bring those kids in and continue to do what we do with them and what we had been doing with them in the summer. But we're able to do that during our school class time for football. So, we're able to get all those kids practiced up, get them out of here. The varsity kids get in around 7. They're done by 9:30. They're in second block class virtually right now by 9:45. And then at 9:40, 9:45, our second block kids, our younger football group shows up. We get them off campus by 11:15, and they're sitting in class by 11:30 for third block virtually. So, it's been really nice. And, just glad we got administration that allows us to work and do those things that we feel are best for our kids.
Well, that's a great setup because I think you and I touched on this recently, and that is, it really allows the kids they can come in and it's not as hot. It's probably safer for the kids than being a 3:30 practice. They're allowed to get home earlier in the afternoon to get any homework or extracurricular activities or response chores and things they may have to do at home in their home life and do. I think it's a win-win because it helps them acclimate better for school and acclimate better for athletics.
No, there's no doubt. And I'm going to tell you, we've got fabulous parents because since I've been here, we do summer workouts in the morning. And, we had great attendance this summer. We worked 2 separate groups this summer. So, our second group was coming around 9:30. And, even since school has started, our parents during the school day. And, I just tell you got great kids. But for our parents to have the kids here that want to be here and want to play and do it, it speaks volumes about the people here and about the commitment that they're making to our program.
Yeah, well, I think it really does. And one of the things that struck me, that you and I touched on before and yesterday when I was out at practice yesterday, taking a quick look around, was the technology that you guys use and how technology has certainly changed as a coach and as a player, even on the high school level from when you and I would have played high school ball in the 90s. And talk a little bit about how, you guys use a drone to film practice and how you guys use Huddle to break down tape for either practices or game film for upcoming opponents and how that impacts you guys getting ready each week.
Yeah, it's definitely a digital world. And, those of you that have children, they know it. Technology, even in the elementary schools, middle schools, and at the high school level, it's insane. But yes, just in my short time coaching, went from VHS to DVDs. I still remember getting the DVD tower, buying that DVD tower and burning 20 or 30 DVDs off so players could have film to watch at home at night. Just not seemed like not too long ago. To now, everything is digital. It comes out of the camera digital, goes into the computer, up to Huddle. Digital, and within 20 minutes of practice, our kids have practice film on their phones. They have the availability to see what they just did in practice. Coaches are sending notes via the same link, with regards to plays, with regards to effort. Not only can they watch their practice that just went up, they're watching opponent game film. We've got Athens in a couple of weeks, and our next Saturday, and there's Athens film loaded there. It's shared with our players, and they can watch last year's Athens film right now. So it's really changed the game. And I'll tell you, Huddle started out with some guys that were just graduate assistant football coaches. They came up with a way that you didn't need hardware, you didn't need anything else. You just had to download the software and basically pay your money, and you got able to store years and years worth of game film and footage and practice and drills and things like that. And our kids right now, if I get a young D lineman that moves into our program, or a young defensive back, or a young offensive player, whatever, I can share with them huddle film that we put together, 7 years ago of what we do and how we do it from a drill standpoint. They can watch that. And then when they come out to the field, they're better prepared for practice. So, I mean, it's amazing. In practice, we've used drones here the last 2 years to film all of our practices. And we've got, various students from the building. They're in different organizations that come to be a part of our football program. They never block anybody. They never tackle anybody. They never lift a weight. But their jobs, every bit as important as my job, as the trainers and as the players. They've got a major role in what we do. And, they fly those things. I think we call them Jet 1 and Jet 2. They fly those suckers all over the field to every drill we're in, bring them back over, load the video up, get all that in so that the players and the coaches can be prepared and correct mistakes before we go into the next day.
Well, that's huge because it's not only helping it's a time saver. I've got to imagine as a coach because of all the legwork that you and your assistants are doing prior to this to break down and cut up film. And it's time saver for the kids because you don't need them fast forwarding and having to watch other film that doesn't apply to them. If they're a D lineman or defensive back, they don't need to be watching the other team's defense. If you've got it broken down and you're wanting to look at certain segments, and then certainly it's just a great tool.
And look, the kids that do it, these kids are so talented. I mean, we've got some talented football players, very talented football players, and they get a lot of press and a lot of notoriety. There's going to be articles written and things on Twitter and social media about kids signing, and this kid's got this offer and that offer. We've got kids that come out here and help us from a digital perspective that are every bit as talented in that realm as those kids are on the field. And, I believe in the whole program, and that involves everybody. That's not just us as coaches. It's not just the players. It's all of us. It takes a village to be great and to make everybody, as good as they need to be or can be. And we're proud to have those kids here. We've sent kids off to be student trainers and managers and different things to colleges. And we're just as proud of those kids as we are as the ones that are making plays, on Saturdays. Yeah,
well, this as well as I do in any successful program, and I can tell you in any successful business, it's not just about the people up front that you see to get all the press. It takes a bit. It truly does take a village. It takes coaches. It takes managers. It takes equipment people. It takes parents, and it takes a community to support you to get there. Wade, talk to us a little bit about your coaching philosophy. What can we, year in, year out, what if we come to a James Clemens game, what is kind of your mentality that you're trying to build from a culture, from a football perspective?
Yeah, it's really, I tell you, it's really interesting. You get into coaching and most coaches, you think, well, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And, you come in maybe thinking it's about what you do and not so much about how you do it. But, every year, every day in this job, if you're not growing, then you're not doing the kids a service. And I can just say from my end, philosophically, one, we want to treat them like they're our kids. Okay. And, I can tell you the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is be a parent and be a consistent parent. And we try to treat these kids just like we would our own children, which means there's going to be days that we're going to love on them and build them up and pat them on the back and really try to encourage them. But there's also going to be days when expectations are not met on fundamental things such as effort and toughness and attitude and communication and things that we can control that we're going to be really tough on. And we're going to have consequences and boundaries. And we're going to have strong conversations with them about how to do things the right way and hold them accountable. And so from a philosophical standpoint, what are we trying to do? Well, we're going to ask our kids to play absolutely as hard as they can and do everything with maximum amount of effort and toughness. We're going to ask them to be coachable, all right, to do what we ask them to do to the best of their ability. And then, the last thing that we're going to ask a player from a philosophical standpoint to do is to be a communicator. We are trying to raise men. And I do think this is one of those last places that when you walk into a football locker room, when you walk into a weight room or onto a field, from the head coach down to the last athletic trainer that may be a student, we've all got to check our egos at the door. And we may have the greatest ideas. We may have the greatest philosophies. We may have the greatest, background of anybody ever. And we've got some great guys with experience on this staff. But when we walk in, we've got to check our egos and we've got to sacrifice. All right. We've got to be able to communicate effectively as men. And we're trying to get that message out to these 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old guys before they hit the real world. We want them to be productive at the job place. We want them to be productive with their families. We want them obviously to be productive for us, but we want them to be good representatives in the classroom as well. And, you know, when I got into this, I was a big rule guy. We've got rules. Here are all our rules. You know, being here is more about expectations. I've learned that let's just lay out some clear expectations for everybody. When we don't meet those expectations, we're all going to know it. And then we're going to have a price to pay for that if we don't, because in life, every decision has consequence. And it's basically trying to take this game, model the real world as best we can with how we treat one another, and try to get these guys experience. Well, I told our younger group today, I want to know without a shadow of a doubt when they leave here that when they face adversity, they're going to stand up and keep facing it. And they're never going to shy away from it. When it gets hard, they're going to look right at it and they're going to work through it. And I believe that lesson is being taught here every day. You know, from a football standpoint, this game has not changed. You know, you can hear different terms, RPO, option this, spread that. Look, it's blocking and tackling. It's toughness. And, you know, when people play James Clemens, we want them to come off the field and go, I have respect for them because they are a physically and mentally tough football team. And, you know, if we can say that after a Friday night, and opponents can say that about a Friday night, after us about on a Friday night, you know, we feel like win or lose, you know, we'll be upset if we're losing. We're going to try to correct it. But, you know, we feel like we'll be always moving in the right direction.
No doubt about that, Wade. I think, you know, the attributes and things that you learn specifically here with a football player, with my background, and I think this can be learned in other athletics as well, carry over. And I can't tell you the things that I've accomplished and things that I've been through in my life, from getting through law school to practicing law and you know, mounting, you know, a firm of 20 lawyers facing you, and it's just your little bitty firm trying to do, and knowing that, hey man, I just got to grind it out and get it done. And I learned those things from playing football, and you know, knowing that it takes a lot of preparation and hard work. You just don't show up on Friday night or Saturdays and roll it out there. At least I wasn't that good. And so that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, it's just really trying to condition their mind to know that there is zero quit. There is zero option out. You have to face adversity. You have to fight through. And, you know, things are going to be tough. This game is very hard. I mean, these kids are going to get knocked down. And, you know, one thing in society, if I could change it right now, I'd wave a magic wand and change it is there's nothing wrong with getting knocked down and failing. There is nothing wrong with it. The problem is if we don't get back up and if we don't fight. And, you know, I do see it like the one change that, you know, people say, well, kids have changed or this has changed. Kids have not changed. Kids are kids. Has changed. Expectations at home have changed for kids. When you come to this game and this sport, it does not lie. There's not an easy way out. You're going to get knocked down. You got to get back up and you got to keep going, or, you know, it's going to be a really hard thing to deal with every day.
Yeah, 100%. I get tired of hearing that too, and I think, and I'm probably guilty of it as a parent sometimes too. And that is, you know, the way I handle stuff and treat stuff, and the expectations and my response to things are probably not what they should be all the time, because I think the kids, the DNA in them is still there. The same mentality to overcome and do if you'll set that expectation. You know, I heard somebody say one time, it's not, you know, I'd rather you instead of achieve low expectations, I'd rather you shoot for the moon and fail and then try again.
Yeah.
Because if you low expectations, big deal if you accomplish that. Talk to us a little bit about, you know, as we get towards the end of our conversation, talk to us a little bit about the elephant in the room, Wade, which is COVID. How has that, you know, impacted you guys? I know, you know, from talking to you and getting to know you over the last couple of years that, you know, as you mentioned earlier, you treat these kids like they're your kids, and the safety of your players and coaches is certainly paramount. But how has this impacted you? Because I think, you know, in terms of spring ball and how you guys are having to manage practice right now.
Yeah, well, it's had an effect. And, you know, from a football standpoint, people aren't aware, you know, we missed a 14-week window from a football team standpoint that could be the most important 14 weeks of your team and of your season and of your program. That's the 14 weeks when no one's around, when nobody is writing an article about football, when nobody's really thinking about football. You're in this room on campus that is dangerous, it's hot and sweaty and grimy. You're in a weight room where no one's around, and you're being held to a high standard of execution and expectation every day. And it is painful and it's hard and it's not fun a lot of times. And that is where the character of a team and the toughness of a team is ultimately built. We miss those, and we're a young team, so it's had an effect on us. The safety aspect is obviously number one. We do have one or two players in our program right now that have elected not to play with us this fall due to the threat of COVID. We support those families and we support those players in their decisions to do that and determining what's best for them. But I will say, out of 125 kids, 130 kids, 126 of them and families have sent their kids here daily to be a part of what we're doing. So, I do feel like if those numbers start to drop and parents become unconfident, then, in sending their children, then that could be an issue. But what I'm feeling and seeing right now, our parents are confident sending their kids here. They feel like they're in a safe environment. We're checking temperatures. We're monitoring, COVID signs and symptoms, which, by now our kids know if they've got any of those symptoms, they know do not come on our campus, do not come here, communicate with us. They keep coming back, and we've dealt with one or two cases here. We will have to deal with it. I just, as with everything, I hope we always don't overreact from let's do too much of this or too much of that. Let's try to be very consistent. Let's try to be very moderate in how we're looking to view these things and be very smart with some common sense about how we approach things.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that to me is that I felt is that sports kind of unifies us and helps us get through tough times. And I feel like these kids and probably their parents too need this. As long as it's safe and you're taking the measures that you're talking about and you're seeing from taking these protocols that you're not having a spread and doing, they need a release. These kids need this. They don't need to be sitting at home the whole time and it's going back to your earlier conversation of resiliency and pushing through tough times. This is just part of the life lessons that they'll be part of the kids that look back and say, man, I was on the COVID football team and we got through it and we had to work around it and wear masks, lifting weights and all this kind of stuff, but we got through it.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Talk to me as we wrap up, Wade. Talk to me about your team this year. I know you guys are coming off a successful team last year. I know you lost some key players, but you've got some great guys coming back and some new guys in the program, some guys stepping up. Tell us a little bit about the 2020 team.
Look, we're an inexperienced team, and we're growing every day. Our expectations have not changed, and they will not change with regards to how we're expected to play and how we're expected to compete. We graduated 18 starters. Graduated a lot of guys that are too deep. It was a very strong senior class last year. But the guys that are coming in, they understand it. We've had former players come back in and talk to our guys. When we were out, we had former players talking to our guys via Zoom in our conference calls, in our meetings, just talking about their times here. And the unique thing is it's so fun to hear a Monty Rice or a LeBron Ray or, Heath Birchfield, who played here on some of the early teams. They say the one thing that they miss is, they always say, y'all going to think we're crazy, but I miss being in that weight room when Coach Swear was yelling at us and when we were doing those up downs together. I miss this stuff. And it's always that stuff that you're thinking as a coach, man, they don't miss that. But what it is, and it goes right back to what you were saying, it unifies them. It puts them hand in hand with one another, with different guys. A kid that lives in $1 million house and a kid that lives, in a house that maybe not have air conditioner or heat. They're doing the same thing and they're being held to the same standard. And to hear those guys come back and tell those stories, you can see it in our kids' eyes when they talk to them. They're going, that's right where we are right now. We're in that same spot. We can achieve what they achieve if we'll just stay the course and continue to believe in what, we're trying to do as a program. And, I've got confidence in these kids and in this team. It's been fun to watch the kids, the leadership roles change, because we graduated so much leadership, so much vocal leadership graduated from us. But to see the different guys start to step up in their own different way and try to lead this group. We tell our team and our kids all the time, when the team becomes their team and not my team or Coach so-and-so's team or Coach other so-and-so's team, when it becomes their team, that's when we know we're going to be pretty good. And we're not there yet. But every day when we come in, that's where we're trying to go. We're trying to get ultimate ownership by these players so that this thing, they're the ones running it. They're the ones driving it. They're driving the expectations. When it becomes theirs, man, it is so much fun. It's fun to be a part of.
Well, I think along those lines, they take ownership of it. And so when they take ownership of it and pride, you guys are just helping steer the ship, but they're the motor of the engine, and they're pushing that thing down the water, or that jet moving that thing through the sky and doing. So you guys got your first game coming up. I know you had a game scheduled this weekend, and because of the COVID stuff, you guys couldn't make that happen because travel, I think, was down to Mobile. So you guys are looking at next Saturday, the 29th at Athens. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, folks, if you get a chance, check that out. As I understand too, Wade, for folks that maybe because of COVID or because of the limited number of tickets that may be available at some games, I think you can get on the Alabama High School Athletic Association and maybe subscribe somehow to stream and watch the game. Is that right?
Correct. NFHS network.
Okay.
Subscribe to the season. You can subscribe by game, 3-game package. Ticket proceeds from that, still we get a portion of those, or whatever team you support. So it will help us at the game. Just on a side note, also, we did move our Bob Jones game, which was supposed to be at Madison City School Stadium. Due to social distancing, I think we were only going to be able to get 1,000 people in for that game the week after Athens. The visiting band, Bob Jones, was not going to be able to bring a band if we played it at Madison City School Stadium. It was really obvious to me, and I even said it advantage-wise, it'd give us an advantage to play in that stadium and not have very many folks from the other side in. But for the kids of this city and, across town on the east side of town or on the west side of town, we need as many people to be a part of that game as possible and to play it at A&M and be able to social distance.
Folks, it looks like Wade's internet connection dropped off there. So I think what he was saying is that the game this year with Bob Jones is going to be played at Alabama A&M Stadium. So that's going to give them a much greater seating capacity so we can have a safe environment there to watch Bob Jones and James Clemens, which is a inner-city rivalry there. And the last thing I would tell you is to check out, hold on one second, here's Wade right here. Wade's joining us back here in just a second, folks. Just bear with us with the technical difficulties there. But I think what Wade said is that game's going to be broadcasted or shown and played over at A&M. So that'll, for folks that want to come out and watch the game, they'll have the opportunity over at A&M to get in and watch that game and get more seating capacity there. All right, Wade, we got you back. There you go. And what I was telling folks when you dropped off there was I think what you were saying is that you guys, because of seating capacity and because it's such an intercity rivalry, are going to move that game over to Alabama A&M this year. Is that right?
Correct. We can get 9,000 in there social distance. So anybody that wants to come to be at that game and be a part of that game from a student standpoint, they're going to get to be a part of it. And then, we just agreed, especially on our side of town, if there's one game that had to be played, that's it. For this town, for this system, we need that game. Both of us need that game.
Yeah. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. One thing I tell you to do is support James Clemens. If you're a Bob Jones guy, get out and support them. But support your local high school teams. These kids are getting out there and getting after it, and support your local teams and communities. There's a lot to be said for Friday nights and getting out and doing that, and whether you've got a child playing or not anymore. And if you want to follow James Clemens, they're very active on social media. If you want to kind of see what's going on with their season and do that, you can catch them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all JC Jets Football. It's on all the platforms. And Wade, what I'll do is I'll in the video comments below, I'll tag you guys on social media, and I'll also put a link in there to the Alabama High School Athletic Association website you mentioned earlier, where people can stream the game there. So, Wade, I appreciate your time, my friend, and I wish you guys good luck. And we're definitely going to be cheering for you. We're going to come out and watch some games this year, and I hope to see a lot of W's at the end of the year.
Man, I appreciate it, Mo. Go Jets, man. Thank you.
Thank you.